Okay, so I'm sitting today with Mark, the general manager from Kiwi Website Design. KWD look after our digital for us, and I was talking to Mark a week or two ago about our approach and things that we're doing and going to do. And I actually regretted not having hit record on that conversation because I took away so much from it. So I asked Mark to sit with me today so that we can deliberately capture what he's got to say because it's super useful for you and your digital thinking for now and into 2023. So, Mark, thank you for making the time to talk to us today.
No, my pleasure, Gemma. Thank you very much for having me here. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's cool, and I would really like if you could give us a bit of a background. Your experience and where you are now.
Yeah, I'm currently the general manager of KWD. We are a full stack agency. We have built websites and done marketing strategies, and as of late, we have dived into software. So we are a full solution for most small to medium businesses. And my background is I'm actually a psychology major, and I never knew how easy it was or how much psychology and human behavior would kind of transfer into marketing, and it transfers a lot into marketing. So my background's in psychology. I spent 7 years trying to master Google AdWords in the Google space, 5 years trying to master the Facebook and Meta and social space. And in the last 3 years prior to jumping onto KWD, was really on high level strategies and helping businesses in a boutique agency figure out some tailored strategies to help them scale their business in this market. Because the market is very interesting. And I don't think too many businesses in New Zealand understand how different the market is and what the best approach is, and how easy it is in some cases to really build an effective marketing strategy for the business.
Absolutely, and thank you for that because there are a lot of marketing specialists, and so it was really important for me that you gave us that little nutshell because it really shows you've had your time on the ground and you know what you're talking about. So that's a great preface into the conversation we're heading into. And so, Mark, we were just before we hit go on the recording of this, actually, we were talking about a colleague of mine who depends on paid advertising. You know, in the old days, it was a case of chucking your yellow pages ad up and waiting to see if the phone rings. But 2022, 2023, there's a lot else that you could be doing. The client expects a lot more from you with regard to building a relationship these days, don't they?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that relationship between the agency or your partner and the business owner is something that needs to develop and really needs to continue to mature. And what I find in my particular experience is that if we build those high level relationships with those clients and they have full transparency and full understanding of where the campaign's heading, what the goals are, what we're doing as an agency or as a strategist, they find they're so much more comfortable. There's so much more confidence in the way they're heading. I think in the past, we kind of just, paid someone and crossed our fingers that it worked. And it probably did back in the day, 10 years ago. But now, because of how complex human behavior is and the platforms that we're on, it's no longer that easy. And it's almost like you need to work in accordance with the business owner. The business owner no longer can just really pay an agency and just hope it works. They have to play their part. And a great agency will definitely explain to the business owner what they expect from that business owner in order for the strategy to work.
Yeah, cool. And yeah, I think that's a really useful part actually for this conversation is getting people thinking about the stuff they should be thinking about or should at least have some sort of basic understanding about.
Absolutely.
So it's not a case of here's an idea, let's do this. This is going to be your marketing thing. There's a range of possibilities, really, isn't there, to a great strategy?
There is. And I think one of the questions that tends, like we're about to release a webinar at the end of the month, and that webinar is titled the marketing strategies for 2023, because we're now, believe it or not, we finished on the 21st of December as the final working day. I laugh because I remember in lockdown 2 years ago, everyone complaining about lockdown. And I'm like, we lock ourselves down for 2 weeks every Christmas. So New Zealand businesses shut down for 2 to 3 weeks, some 4 weeks, until mid-Jan. And I find it interesting because we're coming to that period. There's only 31 working days left till that point. So I know it's scary, right? So most businesses now, I'm hoping anyway, are starting to look at their strategy for 2023 because it's important. They don't want to come back in January and be like, what are we doing for Jan? Most proactive business owners have something in place or are looking at that. And I think it's really important that we kind of unpack some of the key elements there. And I was thinking about this question because I was asked by the marketing manager, what are we going to discuss in the webinar? Because we've talked about it all the time, Google Ads and SEO and content. And he said, you have to come up with 3 things that we can share that's going to be different. And I like the number because I think as humans, we digest things that are very easy to kind of look at. So
it was like a verbal blog title, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm going to share with you and your audience, in my opinion anyway, the 3 things that New Zealand businesses, right, should be focusing on 2023. 2 of them might be some things people are already aware of, and one of them I'm not sure about. I'm not sure if I even shared it with you, Gemma. The first one, I believe anyway, is email marketing. I really feel like email marketing is in a position in New Zealand where it's underutilized, and it's very well utilized by large corporates and large brands. The majority of our inboxes are filled with large brands. The Warehouse Group, Rebel Sports, Chemist Warehouse, whatever it is, these large brands that we deal with day in, day out constantly sends us emails. And there's a reason for it. Studies show that 30 to 40% of products and services are converted via email marketing. That means depending on what behavior or what channel you're doing, if you're spending money on Google Ads or Facebook ads, if those don't convert, right, email marketing could be that other leg that enables them to be remarketed to help convert those clients. And of the last, let's say, 30 business owners I've spoken to, I would say 3, maybe 5 have some sort of very micro email marketing strategy. And whenever we ask them to build an email marketing strategy or email marketing monthly or weekly, the results are instant almost because they've built this database of proven buyers or people that have inquired with them, right, that had some interest in their product or their industry. And once they said no, or they became a client, they haven't really farmed them at all. And if you look at America or Europe, and I love looking at what's happening in strategies in America and Europe, right? Because they're so ahead in some instances. They're so ahead in the behavior aspect of things. They are so heavy on email marketing. It's a focal point for a lot of businesses. And I will share something as well to kind of give people an understanding of how that looks. Actually, I might do that now to kind of just to give a little bit of an insight. Can you see that funnel in front of you, Gemma?
Yes.
Great. This funnel is something that I would recommend if you are watching to screenshot this. It should give you a bit of an understanding of what you should be working towards in 2023. Part of this funnel where I really want to focus is this database, this arrow pointing database. What we're trying to say here is that your marketing shouldn't be purely focused on conversion alone. If it is purely being focused and reported on conversion, you're not giving your marketing agency or yourself the best chance of actually building a proper strategy, because not everyone purchases a product on the spot. It can take time. It takes time for us. I was telling a business owner today, I said the 2 things you want your marketing strategies to do is 1 is gain attention and 2 build trust. If you do those 2 things, the conversion will happen, right? So what we want to understand is what's happened with marketing now in 2022 compared to 2011, right? Look, you referenced the yellow pages. Those days were so much easier, right? So you needed a builder, you go on the yellow pages and you look for a builder, and the builder that had AAA builders or A builders got the inquiry, right? So simple. And then that matured to Google, where you went into Google, type in Builders Auckland or Builders Whangarei, whatever it may be, and there you are, you pick someone on page 1. And when social media hit maturity in New Zealand, the landscape fully changed. And I don't know how many businesses pivoted at that time or is pivoting now. Basically, we know that we spend 2 to 4 hours a day on this device, right? And the majority of that's in social media. And what social media has done is given small to medium businesses the same reach that enterprise and corporate businesses had on media buying platforms like the radio and TV. And we probably all have some understanding of how expensive or how much of a higher ticket item radio advertising and TV advertising is. But the idea of radio and TV is just purely reach. Get your brand out there subconsciously so that people hear your brand or see your brand, so the next time they think of buying a product or service within that industry, they think of you. So social media now enables us to do that, right? At what I call an arbitrage in terms of pricing. I mean, Facebook ads, it is so cheap. I don't think it'll be cheap very soon, because the more corporates and enterprises run Facebook ads, the more the price will go up. That's what happened on Google. Same thing. So the email marketing part for me, where people go wrong sometimes, is that they spend all this money on ads to generate interest, But if they don't engage with that brand or they don't buy from that brand, the marketing stops. What the email marketing strategy allows is that it allows you to be put into a funnel or put into a database that you can send more branding and more offers to after they leave the ad or after they leave the Google search. And there's multiple examples of that. I think one of the key things to understand is how long is a buying cycle of the average client. If that buying cycle is 2 to 3 weeks, we'll call it a month, right? For some industries, what are you doing between the time they land on your website and until they make that decision? Now, there's remarketing on Google Ads, of course there is. There's remarketing on Facebook ads, which is great. But your inbox is your personal inbox. So when you get an offer or an email there, and there's a great title or a great offer, you're going to be more likely to purchase that product or to engage with that product. And I feel like businesses in New Zealand are underutilizing email marketing. And we have a pulse on this because we talk to businesses all the time. And I'm saying it's less than 10% of businesses that are doing so. And those that do something about it talk so highly about it, like it's their secret recipe, right? Like no one else in my industry is doing this. So to kind of summarize, email marketing is so vital. If you're not doing it, I can guarantee you now, if you can build that database, which I believe is the currency really for your business, you're going to find some great leads, some great referrals. You probably have previous clients that are willing to buy your product that just needed the nudge or another offer to go into that. And we're entering a season now, which is a buying season, right? We are programmed to purchase products come December, Christmas. The buying capabilities now are increasing. So putting an offer in now is the perfect time because we're programmed to purchase, programmed to spend. You know, at the new year, we're programmed to what? Save. So putting those offers there is a lot harder at that time. So if you're not doing any email marketing or if you have a database, go to MailChimp. The first 2,000 subs are free. So you can send an email for free for the first 2,000 subscribers and test it. I would really be amazed to kind of see how well that works for most businesses. The second one is content. And I know this is going to be hard because the majority of businesses in New Zealand don't want to hear it. But content is going to be the main driver, in my opinion, in 2023. The businesses that release the most content, the most high quality content, right, will generate the most results and the most scalability. And that's not me just, making it up. Data shows this, right? We live in a world now where we are craving consumption of content. This is why we scroll so much. We don't scroll because we like to exercise our thumbs, right? We scroll because we are demanding content. We want to see more. And our attention span is getting smaller and smaller. Thanks to TikTok, right? TikTok's really ruined our attention span. We now know that reels for videos, for example, last about 10 to 20 seconds. Anything longer is too long for us now. So what we realized in the content space, right, is that previously, it was just about releasing as much content as possible. And in my opinion, if you've never entered a content strategy, the very first thing you want to tackle is consistency, right? Being able to consistently release content. Because what that allows is it allows the algorithm to measure your page or your social media pages and go, this person's releasing content. Okay, let's show them to more people. If you don't release content, the algorithm works the opposite. This guy only releases a post once every 2 months. Why should we show this to anyone else? It's not strong enough from the consumption point of view. Once you've tackled that, it's the quality of content. So for those people that are listening or watching and they have a very strong content strategy right now, focus on the design aspect of your content, right? An easy way to look at this is go to YouTube. Look at the highest creators on YouTube, right? In terms of what their thumbnail images. They are spending a lot of time on the thumbnail of that video, because they understand the thumbnail image is what's going to differentiate a click to a scroll. Are they going to click it or they're going to scroll past my my video itself? And I really believe that content, or it's not even I believe, data shows that the more content you release, the more trust you will build in the space, right? And I'll give you a real life example. What we know is 95% of people, when looking for a product or a service or a professional, they go onto Google and find what they're looking for on page one. Right? That was the percentage, 95%. I think that number is much lower now, right? Now, that was a qualification process of trust for us. If you're on page one of Google, we trust you. That's all we knew. Page one of Yellow Pages, directories, now Google. The behavior changed due to social media. So what people are doing now is they're going to Google and then researching people's pages on social media, right? So if they see you on Google and they've got 4 or 5 options to choose from, They go onto their Facebook page, and if your last post was in 2020, they're going to think your company's closed, right?
Mm.
Or you're not engaging with social media. That's a negative experience for that potential client.
Mm.
And then the other 2 or 3 companies that are on page 1 of Google that you're paying top advertising dollar for, they're sharing some content every couple of weeks or every week. They're going to generate the trust because it's in line with the current behavior and qualification that we currently go through as consumers, right?
Mm.
And I don't know of many people that are not on social media. And there's a fallacy that they say that, my target market's not on social media. It's a fallacy. The fastest growing age group on Meta or Facebook is 35 plus. And I think we discussed this before, Gemma.
Mm.
What happens with any new platform, right? The younger generation grabs onto it, they get bored of it, go onto a new platform like TikTok, for example, and then the older generation comes in. And that's why Facebook, I know, I'm calling myself old, don't worry. And now if you look at Facebook, it's so much more mature than it was 5, 6 years ago. It's totally, totally changed. So if there is anything that, if you're not currently on social media, you're not releasing content, right? I recommend it. I believe it's compulsory that you release content in 2023.
Yeah.
Social media isn't going away, right? Gen Z now, the last data showed that Gen Z, 40% of Gen Zs are now searching on TikTok and Instagram over Google. That is a massive, massive behavior change. I remember in 2011, I was wondering who's ever going to beat Google. I just couldn't think of it. And Bing came out and I was like, oh, Bing might have a chance. And they had like an 8% market share in Australia. And I was like, whoa, that's massive. That's because they signed a deal with Microsoft and every Microsoft laptop had a Bing default. And the number one search term on Bing was Google because everyone wanted to leave Bing. It's crazy, but I didn't realize there wasn't another search engine. It was a change in behavior. So we have this generation that 40% currently are searching now on Instagram and TikTok for whatever they're looking for. And I asked the team at KWD, I'm like, who here is doing that? And he goes, yeah, I do it all the time. And they're very early 20s to mid 20s, right, in terms of their age group. I'm like, why? And he goes, well, if I needed a recipe, why go onto Google? I can go onto Instagram and watch someone do it. I'm like, interesting, right? So if you're a business owner and you think that TikTok or social media is not going to affect your business, you have a whole generation that sooner or later will become your potential, your targeted clients that are no longer engaging on platforms that you are so used to. So if you don't get onto that now, when they shift over to becoming your qualified 30, 35-year-olds, depending on your target market, and you're still trying to advertise on Google Ads, you've missed a whole behavior change, right? So I really feel like New Zealand, especially New Zealand, needs to understand how powerful social media is. Not only from reaching brand awareness, but aligning that with the behavior that's happening in marketing right now. And that is marketing in general. That's all it is. It's human behavior, right? Gain attention, build trust. Where's the attention? Where are they spending most of their time on? That's where I need to be. Well, I'm there now. How do I build trust? Tell them about my product, my values, my mission, my staff, my team, whatever it may be, social proof in terms of testimonials. There's so many ways. And I think the issue why people don't release content is because it's the insecurity of not being accepted, right? If I post something, no one will like it. And to be honest, in the very beginning, no one will, right? And it's really confusing, but we have this weird innate way about us because I've seen myself do it. If I see a post and I really like that post, but no one's liked it, I won't like it. Because I don't want to be the first, right? I don't want to be that first person to go out. And that's a really wrong behavior. I know it is. But what I'm trying to say is that happens. It doesn't mean I didn't like the post. I really did like it. It's worked in terms of building trust in my own, my own persona about that particular brand. So just to kind of recap on the second point, release content, right? Release as much content as possible. I really believe next year, the companies that release the most content on all platforms and understanding which platform to release on is important will dominate their industry.
Yes. And before you move on to your next point, I just want to just reiterate that point because we essentially built Spinach on that, on point 2, not point 1. After we spoke a couple of weeks ago and you gave me a little nudge about email marketing, I have taken action on that. But social media is incredibly powerful. And the comment about people may not always like it, LinkedIn is a platform that I use more than the others, but I am trying to, use TikTok and Facebook as well. But I find on LinkedIn I have supporters, and so predominantly similar people will respond and engage with most posts, and a lot of people don't. But the amount of phone calls I get from people saying, "Oh, I've been watching you on LinkedIn. I've seen you around," and I've never heard of them in my
I
life
bet
because they don't engage, but they're watching,
they
and
are.
so getting the confidence to keep posting when people aren't responding, as long as what you're saying or doing is something you can stand beside and it
Yeah,
does represent you well,
yeah,
keep at it.
absolutely. Honestly, like we're entering election season now, right? And I was part of the election in 2020, and I could almost guarantee that the majority of political parties at that time, their main strategy, and even the political party that I help with and the MPs I help with, right, our major strategy focused around content. It was how much content can we release today,
Mm,
right? And we were releasing 3 to 5 pieces of content per day
mm,
leading up to the election because we knew that it was going to become a big part. The elections next year,
mm.
watch the major parties and minor parties on social media in New Zealand start releasing massive content
Yeah.
because they need to, because that's the time for them to really deliver their messaging, their policies. There's never been a time before where you could deliver your message and your brand on platforms instantaneously
Yeah.
in front of pre-qualified clients in your audience. It's amazing for no cost but time, right?
Yes.
And you're right about the LinkedIn thing. It's so funny how many people would inquire that never engaged with your post, but they saw it, right? And
Yeah.
that's power to your content.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Cool.
I think you mentioned about the 3 to 5 pieces per day, and the reality is everything's moving so fast. Once we've scrolled, it's gone.
It is,
It's
yeah.
it's gone, and that's the kind of the need behind multiple
Mm,
pieces of content, or at least posting regularly, because it's not like that old Yellow Pages ad that kind of gets tatty through the course of the year. You
great.
might have a great quality piece of content, and once it's done its thing, it's gone, and then the next person's in, and you have to keep at it, keep at it.
You really do. It's just because of the algorithm. That's all it is.
Mm,
And another word for algorithm is audience. It is,
mm,
right? So I know we use the word algorithm a lot. Like there's this AI, which there is
mm.
on Meta, right? Which there is, but all that AI is basing on is audience. The audience demanding more content. So the platforms that release the most, the pages that release the most, will show them the most, right?
Yeah,
And then the next level is the quality of it. Who's releasing the most quality content? That's going to really drive engagement and drive users and drive inquiries, so but don't look at that until you look at the consistency part, because too often too many businesses are trying to release great content,
yeah,
but they're releasing it once a month, and they think that if they release this amazing post with this amazing visual that people will engage with it, and they really might, don't get me wrong,
mm,
but the algorithm says otherwise.
yeah,
So if you haven't posted in a month, they're not going to show it to anyone, because why should they?
mm,
Right? Because you're not aligned with their minimum kind of requirements.
mm,
The third thing, right? I really believe they'll differentiate businesses in 2023 is businesses, in terms of your strategy, you need to work on your irresistible offer, right? Or a grand
mm,
slam offer. Your offer in terms of your business. So when you put them through all your strategies and you put them through your funnel and you put them through your Facebook ads and they get to the end search, they land on your website, what is that offer you're making, right? Because the offer is really going to differentiate you to every other person in your industry. Now, unless you are in a very niche industry and there's only 2 or 3 of you, by
mm,
all means, maybe then you won't need an offer. But if you're in an industry that there is multiple counterparts and multiple competition, what differentiates you, right? Is it your service? Is it your outcomes or ROI? Is it your team and your people, right? Is it your strategy? Now, they don't know any of that unless you verbalize that. And what I find with a lot of businesses right now is that their offers are almost the same. They're offering the exact same thing. So they're leaving it to the consumer to pick.
mm,
They're not helping them direct them to going, we are the best person to choose because of these things.
mm.
And I really feel like it's the Kiwi mentality, right? We never want to ask for something. We want people to kind of buy our product. We want them to, really fall in love with us and not beg them for it. I'm not saying beg them for it, but preach. And when I mean an irresistible offer, you still have to actually match that offer. Like you can't just make all these promises and you don't match it. You've got to actually be able to do it, right? But I really feel like an irresistible offer is something most businesses are not doing at all. And something that we work in with our clients, which is the messaging. You want to get the messaging correct. And if you can make an irresistible offer where basically they feel stupid not to take it up,
Mm,
then you're finding the right behavior, the right strategy aligned with what they're currently experiencing in the market. And especially if you're in a very heavy environment where there's a lot of competition, look at all the offers that are being made on page one of Google or on Facebook ads. You can go to Facebook ad library and see every single ad that's being run in any industry in any country, right? So you can type in United States and put gyms, for example. And you can see the ads that are running on Facebook ads for gyms and get some inspiration. But you will find those that are performing the best make an irresistible offer. It's an offer that you have to click, that you have to find out more. Like it just gains your attention. Like we said, marketing, attention, right? And if you can do that, then I really believe in you partner other strategies around it, you will make a massive difference. As you can tell, I'm not of the top three things we've talked about. It ain't about spending more money on ads, spending more money on SEO, because those things get discussed all the time because people should, right? You should spend money based on the requirements of your growth and the requirements of your industry. This is why I always laugh when someone goes, "Oh, what's the average SEO spend for your industry?" You mean because it can't be on a New Zealand scale because that changes, it varies. If you are a builder in Motueka, it's going to be $100 a month. If you're a builder in Auckland, it's likely going to be $2,000 a month or more, right? And that's why you have to understand that. But I really feel like going away from that narrative and kind of just going, look, spend more and going, what can I do with my time? Right? What can I do better? I can send more emails, I can write more content, and I can work on an irresistible offer. And I feel like the majority of businesses do not preach their service or future-paced businesses or potential clients. And once they become a client, these things will happen. This is how we're going to look after you. Because we want that. We want to be looked after. Who doesn't like great service? We love great service, right? And we don't preach it enough. We don't. And I think it's important that we do because it's a differentiating factor when it comes to qualifying a business you want to deal with, right? And I don't know of too many businesses that I work with now that have such an irresistible offer. We're working with them to get the messaging right. And they feel very uncomfortable in kind of preaching this, right? But I'm like, do you want the leads? Do you want something different? Then we have to. And as simple as look at your 5 major competitors, look at their offers they're making, right? Whatever that may be, and go, can I beat those offers? And if I was a consumer looking for my products and services, which offer would I choose? And I feel like if you can do that, you're going to immediately increase conversion. You will. And your advertising dollar that you're investing in will go much longer, or perform much better.
I think one of the threads that I take from what you're saying is more of an onus on the business owner or the management to actually really understand the voice of your company, understand your point of difference and their place in the market. I mean, I've referred to Yellow Pages a few times, but if the days of saying we are a builder and we do building and this is our area, that's not going to cut it because everything's moving so fast at the moment. People want to feel something, and so they want to understand what your values are and how they align with their own, and what kind of that with them, what's in it for me about working with you, and really, like, you can't really outsource that so much. You need to participate. Obviously, you can partner with great agencies like KWD for execution and planning and strategy, but the owner themselves has to participate in that narrative too, because it's almost like a one-on-one relationship with your client to the level of contact that you're right in their phone while they're scrolling, you're interrupting their day with your message. And it's important to get that right.
It's a key ingredient. I think we mentioned very early on, right? When you're looking for an agency to partner with, don't look at it as a spray and walk away scenario, right? Because at the end of the day, it's your business. No one knows your business better than you. And then you're going, hey, marketing agency, I need help generating leads. Cool, we can help you. We've got data, we can help there. Good luck. Well, we need your help. We need your input and the messaging and what we're allowed to say, and kind of going back and forth and understanding buyer personas. That's why if you had a marketing manager in-house, right? It's not like you'd leave them alone and hope that they will generate results. You would onboard them, tell them about the company vision, the company mission, the values, and you'd really want them to buy the message of the business so that when they go out there and deliver it in the public, they understand the messaging. Marketing agencies should just be a marketing manager. That's what they are. But they have the advantages are they have a larger team around them to support that one particular person you're dealing with or that business. And you can afford them at a much more affordable rate, right? Because they're not working on your strategy 40 hours a week. It could be 2-3 hours a week, whatever it may be. But the more that you work with them, the more they understand your messaging and your offers, and the more that they get your feedback, the better the strategy will be. And then you will be that one business, one of the few businesses that stand out from every other business that relies on just paying an agency or paying a contractor to run some ads. And that's where businesses go wrong, right? Like, what are you currently doing for marketing right now? And they're like, oh, I'm running some ads. Whenever I hear that, I'm like, literally, I don't smile. I try to understand why they think that way, right? And it's because they don't know any better. They don't, right? Because it worked well 10 years ago. They go, I don't like social media. Because even now, I'm saying no to new platforms, right? I'm like, I don't need any more social media platforms. But I know it's going to be to my detriment because I'm going to miss out on the next platform and the next behavior and the next thing. So sooner or later, I need to give in, and I need to, get into these other platforms and really engage there and find out what's happening. But yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic that you've said, Gemma, because even with you and, for example, Lane, you guys work really closely together. And I think that's been a key ingredient in the recipe for spinach.
Yes, I would 100% endorse that. You really need to work with, I personally really need to work with someone who I feel gets me and who I trust is doing the stuff I need them to do while I can get back to doing what I'm doing. I need to do the money-making activities, and they need to go and just execute for me, bring me ideas of things I didn't know about. And that was one other question. I'm not sure if we have time, but if you have time.
Of course, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, what are your insights on how you choose an agency? How do you find that partnership?
I think you hit the nail on the head just before, right? Because most people look at experience, like how long have you been running ads for, or how long did you do SEO for? What industries did you work with, right? They look for return, like, cool. Well, what kind of returns have you brought for other clients? These are really simple questions, and if you have a fair understanding or a very simple understanding of how Meta works and how SEO works and how Google Ads work, the data metrics are available to everyone. They are. There's no real difference to someone else apart from me going into Google or going to Facebook and grabbing the data and running an ad. But you said before is that they need to get me. They need to understand me. And I think that's the differentiating factor when choosing an agency. Does this agency who I'm talking to understand my company? They understand my mission. They understand my values and where I'm heading. Because them understanding how to run ads is just one part of that. Anyone can run ads. Like, platforms now are not as difficult as they used to be. They used to be much more difficult than they were. Now Google Ads can be run by anyone. Optimizing those ads in line with the company's vision and goals is totally different, right? Because getting an ad turned on is simple. It's not that hard. There's an old saying I used to have with insurance clients because I've had so many advisors in the past, that getting insurance is easy. It is, honestly. Like, you can get insured tomorrow. Getting paid out when something happens is the hard part, right? So that's why you have to find the right insurance advisor that not only gets you signed up, but if anything happens, they can pay out. That's what you should be qualifying. So getting ads on and turning ads on is not really the hard part. It's going, do they buy in the message that what I'm trying to deliver? And can we work together to bring it to market and differentiate from everyone else? So if there was one answer that I had to answer your question, and how would you pick an agency in 2023? Pick an agency that understands you as a business owner and your goals. Really start there. Go, do they understand what I'm trying to achieve? Do they understand my product, my messaging, my values? And if you can qualify them then, they go, they do, great, awesome. Tell me about your experience in ads. Tell me your experience in SEO. Give me a strategy. Because if you do it the other way around, it might be a little too late.
That's a beautiful summary, actually.
Awesome. Look, I think what you're doing, Jim, is absolutely amazing. The creation part of YouTube and videos and giving just value. Like, you're literally just giving value to businesses right now. And I hope businesses are watching this and they replicate this, because it's a key ingredient.
Yeah, we know. I'm talking to business owners day in, day out, and we can just see people are so enthusiastic about the thing that they're doing. There's their product or their service, but there's all this stuff, all the Spinach TV stuff that they could be doing better. They can do their marketing better. They can do their accounting better. They can have proper legal processes in place. And, as a lifelong learner myself, talking to people like you, it's good for me, and I can capture it and share it for other people. But I mean, it's part of a great strategy as well because it builds trust, it builds credibility, it builds a library of content that can be repurposed for lots of things, and it's just
Forever.
a no-brainer.
You're forever on the internet, Gemma. Forever. Your kids, as in your grandkids, will be able to watch this particular episode in 15, 16 years. Like isn't that mind-boggling? Like you are creating something that will stand the test of time, unless YouTube disappears.
Well,
that's a very hard thing to conceptualize, right?
Although you just made a really interesting point about the Gen X doing their searching on Instagram and TikTok. You know, who would have thought that Google wasn't the place to go for any question you have? So it's not so far-fetched that, I mean, you can see that Google's trying to adapt by, you know, in the search bar just below it, having 3 completely random videos.
I know, it's so random.
Oh, man. I remember the first time I saw that. Why did you choose that chicken for me to see right now? I don't understand.
It's going to be hard to pivot, but Google's got something going for them. And when they bought YouTube, I forgot how much they bought it for, but everyone lost their minds when they did, and they thought that was really expensive. But for some reason, people separate YouTube and Google, right? They don't fully grasp they're still the same company. But YouTube's the number one, if not the second search engine in the world. Because the other behavior change is that people, instead of searching on Google, they're searching on YouTube. Because I know I search on YouTube a lot. Like, I'm not going to lie, I find it really hard to read instructions. It's just, I think, a man thing. So whenever it's my time to cook, I don't read the ingredients. I watch a YouTube video.
Wow.
And then verbalize it while I'm cooking and cutting and listening to them going, cut the onions now. Oh, cool, awesome. And it's much more engaging for me, right? Yeah. So, and I'm a millennial, right? So by definition, but that's a behavior change for us as well. And it's interesting. But yeah, so exciting times. I really feel like business owners have a lot to really pivot and change to fix their marketing or to increase their marketing in 2023. And it's exciting. It's really exciting.
It is. And those who get comfortable putting themselves out there will be the ones that are reaping the rewards of doing that.
Absolutely. Like by all, I 100% back that. I 100% back that.
Cool. Well, again, Mark, thank you for the time that you've taken today, because as anyone listening would hear, you've got so much knowledge and insight that obviously that we've just scratched the surface of what you're capable of. I'm going to leave contact information for Mark. If you want to extend the conversation, you'll be able to go through to him directly. And again, thank you.
No worries, Gemma. Thank you so much for everything.